I believe that there's a hole in all of us that we try to fill with things. We think, if I get the right education, I'll get the right job, I'll get the right car, the right home, the trophy wife. We spend a lifetime trying to fill this hole that we have in us. And at some point in time, we'll choose alcohol or drugs. But none of them really fill the hole. And I think the hole is a spiritual need. And in recovery, we learn, we become connected again with people. We become connected with nature. We become connected with God. And that fills that hole in us. And it's absolutely spiritually fulfilling. And there's a spiritual awakening that happens with recovery that is absolutely the most wonderful thing I've ever experienced. And finally the hole is filled. And I had to live a lot of years to realize that things will not fill that hole. That's a God hole. And for me, God filled that hole. And recovering people. And my connectedness with the community, connectedness with people, connectedness with fellow sufferers is a wonderful thing. And you'll see that in the community in AA. You'll see a lot of connectedness, a lot of love, a lot of healthy behavior. Denial is one of the chief symptoms in addiction, and alcohol addiction is one of the only diseases that tells us we don't have a disease. So individuals afflicted with the disease are often the last to know that they've got a problem with addiction. It becomes obvious to coworkers, family members, and anyone with which that person is associating with long before the person is aware himself. Signs of addiction are loss of control of drug use, continued use of drug or alcohol despite adverse consequences, and a strong desire to use. It's not based on how much we use, how much we drink, or how much we use. It's based on three simple things: a compulsion to use, loss of control of the use, and continued use despite adverse consequences. Unpredictability of behavior, reduction in quality of work at work, missing appointments, being late for work, calling out sick, multiple excuses, theft, unpredictable behavior. The disease is telling the person that he doesn't have a disease, so he often up until the end does not believe he's got a problem. So frequently we have to depend on interventions where loved ones, family members, or co-workers will get involved with an interventionist to help them have a meeting with the individual to help them realize the problem that they don't realize they have. And that, again, denial prevents us from seeing the fact that we're ill if we're addicted. So it often is incumbent upon family members and co-workers to get together to help that individual realize there's a problem. Because if they're unable to do that, the individual very well may die. The addiction affects everyone, not only the addict, it affects everybody in the family. And so everyone in the family is adversely affected and has their own manifestations of dysfunction because of it. If we grow up in an abnormal situation, we have to adapt abnormally just to survive. So there's often resistance not only in the patient but often in the spouse of a patient. There may be enabling that goes on that allows the disease to continue. Example, a housewife has a husband who has a career, he's a moneymaker, he's got a problem. She may be resistant to bring that to his attention or to other people's attention because of loss of income. So it's a complicated issue. But there are wonderful programs for families. Al-Anon is an absolutely wonderful program that's available all throughout the city for spouses of alcoholics, children of alcoholics, and parents of alcoholics or addicts. And again, that's available, it's free in the community, and they do a wonderful work to help the families. Because nobody survives this disease unscathed. Everybody is affected in the family or anyone who knows someone who's an addict or an alcoholic. Well, there's a very strong community support system called Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, which is free and available to anybody who thinks they may have a problem. There are meetings that start from 7:30 in the morning and end at 10 o'clock at night, all throughout Columbus. The problem is getting someone to believe that they need to go. But if there's an intervention, or if an individual realizes he has a problem, there are options. He could do the community-based, which is free of charge, anonymous. Other options would be intensive outpatient programs. There are multiple programs offered here in Columbus. And that typically is about 3 hours a day, and they can be arranged in the morning if someone works in the evening, or they can be done in the evening if someone works during the day. There's partial hospital programs, which usually occur for about 6 hours a day, and then there are inpatient programs, where the patient will go and spend anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks to 3 months. We are a goal-oriented society, and we like to think we set goals, we accomplish them, and then we're done with that, and we go on to do other accomplishments. With this disease, there's no graduation, if you will. This is a chronic disease, which means once we have it, we always have it. It's progressive, which means if the disease progresses, it will always get worse, and it will end in death. And the unfortunate thing for the addict is, before one dies, it removes everything from them that means anything: family, jobs, careers. So to survive is a daily commitment to survival, which will last the rest of their life. And there's no graduation. This is something that, it's wonderful that it's a disease that we can put in remission, but it's something that we will have to pay attention to, and devote our efforts to staying sober for the rest of our lives. Well, the hardest step is recognizing that there's a problem, and there's a lot of fear about getting help. There's a huge amount of fear, but if you hear nothing else today, hear that there's a solution, and the solution has the potential to make you better than you ever were, to feel better than you ever did before you ever even picked up a drug or drink. And that solution is out there for everyone. And ask for help. Asking for help is difficult, but take a risk, ask for help. I'll go into the community and see patients who have been here, and see them out in the program, seeing them connected with people, seeing them having fun with people, seeing them laugh and experience joy. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Because in addiction, we end up in a place of loneliness, isolation, and despair. And recovery is just the opposite of that. We fill it up with love. We fill it up with belonging, a sense of belonging, a sense of connectedness. And it's absolutely wonderful. Okay. And it makes my heart smile to see it.